There's a lot going on in this video, so I apologize. Dearest girls, gays, theys and bays, the time has come. I have hit 20,000 subscribers. When I say I've hit 20,000 subscribers, it sounds like I've like assaulted them. I have not assaulted any of my subscribers. Not even a little bit of this or a little bit of that or a little bit of a... Could you imagine me in a fight? I would be running. I don't believe in conflict. I'm not about that. That's not the type of person I am. I never have been and I never will be. Anyway, but gays, can you believe it? 20,000 subscribers. That's like 20,000 different people. Can we give a special shout out to the BBC who have not demonetized me for at least a month? It just keeps getting better. 20,000 subscribers, BBC's leaving me alone. I'm out here uploading. What more do you want? I am giving you free content right now, delivered to you. I have dropped my phone three times and I've just started recording this video. Three times. How many phones have you dropped today? 3. I have dropped 3. Anyway, so I didn't know what to do when I hit 20,000 subscribers. I have absolutely no videos in the pipeline, so I was like, I can't rush anything to production. But one of my co-workers said, why don't you do a Q&A? And I was like, no one wants to ask me any questions. I was very surprised to see that people actually had questions to ask me, which was very nice. And so I've decided to answer as many as I can. Am I in focus or not? I'm blind. How am I supposed to know? Allegedly, this is in focus. Okay, filmmaking is hard. It's a hard thing to do. From Noah Alexander on Twitter, list all the doctors you could beat in a fight. None of them. Not a single one of them. Actually, no, I take that back. I could beat Whovian Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, and John Pertwee. And do you want to know why? Because they're dead. But I think Tom Baker could probably kill me. I think Tom Baker could look at me and I would just like disintegrate like a Thanos thing. Is it Thanos? I don't know. I don't watch Marvel movies. I'm too cool. I'm counterculture. Owen on Twitter asks, is The Haunts of Nimon one of the best Fourth Doctor stories? It is not only one of the best Fourth Doctor stories, it's one of the best stories of Doctor Who of all time. And that entire scene with Romana and Soldine at the end is like, I know it basically off by heart. It's incredible. I think the people who don't like The Haunts of Nimon are the same Doctor Who fans who don't like to acknowledge the fact that Doctor Who is a silly show, which is why I like it. You know, when Doctor Who tries to be very hard science fiction, I tune out. I'm off. I'm getting out of here. Not interested. Thank you. Because like, I don't like science fiction, which I know is very surprising since my entire life is me talking about Doctor Who. But I don't think that Doctor Who is a very strictly science fiction show. I think it is also a science fantasy. I think it's a drama. I think it's a comedy at times. It's a show that defies genre. It's genre fluid. And you know what? Fierce, love that. I respect you. I acknowledge you. I see you. And you are respected.
I respect it.
I was about to do that, Illuminati confirmed. But yeah, The Haunts of Nimon is great. If you haven't watched it, go into it acknowledging that it's silly. PaperPlane asks, which doctor would win RuPaul's Drag Race? That is the easiest question that has ever been asked to me. The 6th Doctor would win RuPaul's Drag Race. It's not even a question. You know, a lot of people will look at his costume and say, oh my God, it's so ugly, it's so gross, it's too bright and too colourful. No, the coat is camp. It's camp. It's camp. That's all I'm saying. The costume designer really said, I'm looking camp right in the eye. He's got the charisma, he's got the uniqueness, and he's got the nerve. And by God, does he have the talent. So yeah, I would like to see it. Scott asks, who do you prefer, Segun Akinola or Murray Gold? I don't think I've ever said Segun's name out loud. I hope I said that right. But I think Nostalgia says Murray Gold, but I've really enjoyed Segun's work in this latest season. I think his theme for the Weeping Angels is brilliant. And I really enjoyed the Sontarans theme. I think all the themes are really starting to come out this season. And I didn't really notice them as much in the previous seasons. But I think the 13th theme is also really brilliant too. So yeah, I'm really enjoying his new work. And I'll be interested to see if he sticks around for when Rusty Davies takes over. But yeah, who knows what's going to happen in the future of Doctor Who. It's all very new and exciting. So yeah. Joseph asked, do you think Susan will ever come back? The fact that Susan hasn't come back yet boggles the mind. It is the most obvious person to get back on the show because there's so much you can do with her character. even like the famous line that gets used over and over again, like one day I'll come back. It's like, yeah, when are you coming back? Like, yeah, Big Finish and all that, novels or whatever, that's great. But who knows? It could happen in the future. I don't know. David asks, how has or has not your fantastic work on your YouTube videos influenced / benefited / helped your work, practice / skills? Well, that's a lot of slashing. There's a lot of slashing. I think my work on YouTube and my work as my career both complement each other because I do video for both. I think once your hobby becomes your job, it stops being fun. I don't enjoy working ever. It doesn't matter if my job was to eat donuts all day, and I love donuts. I still wouldn't enjoy it because it's my job. I'm doing it for money. It's a philosophy. It's a way of seeing the world for me. In some ways, I regret doing video as a career, but I think YouTube allows me to let it be a hobby again. And the reason why it took me so long to come back was for a variety of mental reasons, but it was also that it was like this was beginning to feel like work. And I was making stuff that I wasn't remotely interested in because I'm like, this will do well on YouTube. I know people are going to watch this video. Or people like top 10s. I hate doing top 10s. But I feel like I finally have figured that out and I'm at a point where I can do this for fun and I don't feel obligated to do anything. Dubliam asked, how many Nimons have you seen today? 3. Joel Kathrens asks, assuming a few years from now, all the missing episodes have been animated, should that be it? Or is there another way you'd like to see them re-examine or reimagine these stories? In the past, I was kind of like, why would they waste their time redoing an animation they've already done? But I think the Power of the Dalek Special Edition proved a good reason as to why sometimes maybe we should go back and do some changes. But yeah, look, I'm never against more Doctor Who. I'm always happy to watch new content. It's the same way I view the optional CGI replacements. Oh look, a brand new way of me experiencing the same story I've seen 50,000 times. Michael Chapman asked two-pronged question. Can we expect to see any more Unexplained episodes? I enjoyed that series and would love to see it back. Second question, what's your favourite mystery / supernatural event or story you've heard? Big fan and I hope you're doing well. If you don't know about my Unexplained series, it was my lockdown project where I talked about aliens and ghosts in a documentary format. I'm really happy people enjoyed the Unexplained. It was something very different to what I usually do on this channel. I would like to do more of it in the future. The original concept was to interview people here in South Australia where I live about their experiences with the supernatural and the unexplained. Then COVID happened and then all of a sudden we couldn't go out and meet people, especially strangers or people we didn't really know very well. So I changed it to be more of a documentary style production. But yeah, maybe one day I'll come back and revisit it. The second part was asking about my favorite mystery or supernatural event. I think The Flatwoods Monster, which I cover on the series, is one of my favorites. And I think it would be a great Doctor Who story. I'm surprised Doctor Who hasn't really done the UFO crashes to Earth and what happens there. They haven't really done much of that. Maybe because it's quite an American concept or it's a bit cheesy. But I think it could be a really cool Doctor Who episode. I would love to do like a 1950s Doctor Who where a UFO crashes and stuff like that. I think they're a great story. But that's because it's my own personal particular taste of what I like to see. So who knows? ShortAngle asked, are you excited for the upcoming Big Finish box set with the story where Ten meets Nyssa during the Time War? I couldn't care any less. I don't care about the Time War, and Nyssa with the 10th Doctor, who cares? I don't care. I think it's great that other people are interested in it, it's just not for me. But not for me! If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Not a Scarecrow asked, very suspicious. Sounds like something a Scarecrow would say. If you could trade a missing story or episode for one that we have in the video archives, which ones do you swap? For example, the Mythmakers for the mutants, Marco Polo for the Ark. It's a very interesting question. There's a lot of stories out there I'm like, I wish we had the Evil Daleks instead of the Web Planet or something. I would love if we had the 10th Planet episode 4 instead of episode 3. I would love if we had Dalek's Master Plan episode 12 instead of something else. You know, it's easy to do that. It's easy to think about that. But I think once a story becomes missing, a myth around it has been built. A myth maker, if you will. Like someone was recently saying about the end of Galaxy 4 where the planet's exploding and someone was like, I would love to see that if it came back. If it was back, The camera would be shaking on a very, very small set and they'd be like, oh, it wouldn't be anything interesting. You're not missing out on much. The animation's a lot more exciting of that moment. But the myth of it is more exciting. It's like, what did it actually look like? What if it did look more impressive than we think? What are those little moments that we're missing? KermitTheForg asks, what video of yours, Doctor Who or otherwise, are you proudest of? I'm one of those people who hates everything I've ever made. I don't know why I struggle so much to just be happy with what I make, but I don't. I think, for me, when I think about something I've made, I think about the effect it has on people. I'm very proud of Karate Nun, a film I made back at uni because all of my friends have such fond memories of it.
Is that the good word? No, this is the good word.
People genuinely loved making it and loved showing people it. So I think that one I have a stronger connection to. But Doctor Who related, I would say the Missing Episode series. Personally, I could never watch it again because my voiceover is too much in that one. I cringe every time I hear it. But I know that one is a big reason why a lot of people started watching my channel is because of that series. And yeah, but I don't watch my own videos. Once they're out, they're gone from my memory. It's like people will write a comment referencing a part of a video. I'm like, I have no recollection of saying that. Philip Hawkins asks, which Big Finish adventure do you think should be animated? My perfect idea for a Big Finish animation is something that fills a gap that the TV show didn't do. So a Sixth Doctor regeneration story, a story where Mel and the Doctor meet, that isn't plagued with, oh, but we don't want to contradict a novel or we don't want to contradict this and that and the other thing. It's like, I just want to fill this gap with one story. But they can't do that because they want to keep making more stories where they can fit in 1,000 different characters so they can keep making box sets until the day Big Finish goes bust, which hopefully doesn't happen anytime soon. I think a part of me would love an 8th Doctor animation. I would love the Lucy Miller adventures. I would love all of that animated. I think that'd be great. Max Curtis said, let's say they actually really properly did the Nyssa adventures, like a spin-off. What do you think that show would look like? And Ben Cook asked, yes, and a follow-up question, who should play young Nyssa, old Nyssa, and war Nyssa? I have no idea what the Nyssa adventures would look like. I wouldn't have a clue what to do with it. That's something for like a genius like Ross Sue Davies to come up with who could just whip up a great idea for her. But obviously, young Nyssa, old Nyssa, war Nyssa are all going to be played by Sarah Sutton in varying degrees of makeup. I think someone even said that in the thread. Or worst comes to worst, we'll just get David Bradley in because he can play anyone. Ivan asks, fuck, marry, kill, Chameleon, K9, Handles. I'd kill Chameleon, just straight up. Wouldn't even think twice. I'd fuck Handles because he's a head. Do I need to say anything else? And then I'd marry K9 because he's a little dog, you know, he's just a little puppy. And I can always ask him questions. He's like a Siri, but in dog form. He's in dog mode. He's Siri in dog mode. TARDIS Time asks, if you were a film reel of a Doctor Who episode, what episode would you be? Creature from the Pit, episode 3. And no, I will not elaborate. JohnSno asks, your documentaries are always great in combining facts with humour, some hilariously sassy moments. Sassy is a slur. And that's a conversation for another day. Is there a challenge to maintain the balance? Maybe some thought through process, like not going too much into humour or the opposite, add more fun. Thanks, always enjoying. I think finding that balance has been really difficult and it took me a long time. I think sometimes I get it right. I don't think I always get it right. I usually cut a lot of jokes and things that just don't land or they don't make any sense because I think most people are there for the facts. They're not there for me to make my terrible jokes. But my opinion videos, it's where I just talk shit for the whole time. Anything goes. Scott said, knowing how much of a massive gamer you are, which Doctor Who video game is your favourite? I have a soft spot for the adventure games, the ones around 2010 and that. They're my favourites because they're not too hard. There's a lot more walking around and interacting and stuff. At the edge of time and stuff like that, it's all very fiddly, too many puzzles. And I'm like, I don't want to think. I just want to hang out and relax. My idea of a good game is something like The Sims, Pokemon, or something that requires no talent. Because I have none. My best mate Mikey has asked, what date and time will you be over in the UK? I'm trying. My God, am I trying. I'm aiming for 2023 for the 60th anniversary, but we'll see. Because there's this stupid pandemic going on and it's kind of stopping my plans. I'd never traveled internationally before, so it'd be a big step and I wouldn't even know where to start in planning it. And I'd want to go over there and interview 1,000 people. It stresses me out quite a bit. But yeah, it's in the back of my head. I'm thinking about it. Mikey, I want to see you. But yeah, I have to wait a bit longer. K9 Recaps asked, how do you get such good quality sound? No hint of reverb, nice rich sound. They had one day of my 3-year film course where they discussed editing sound, and I was sick, so I missed it. Same day I missed lighting, which is why sometimes this is a bit of a mess. Basically, most of what I learn is from YouTube and doing my own research, trial and error. Basically, what I do is I add a little bit of noise removal, the smallest amount, just to get that small little bass off. I then equalize it with just a basic inbuilt Premiere vocal enhance, and then I do a basic compress, which levels out all the volume, so there's no ups and downs. It's all flat. Then with my music layer, I put that at usually -8 or -10 depending on the track, and then I put the equalizer on the middle, and I bring all the mids down so it doesn't interfere with the vocal. Is that the correct way of doing it? I don't know. This is the way I do it, and it works enough for what I need. My good mate Aaron J. Climas asks, what is the capital of Australia? Canberra. Lewis asks, what is your first memory of Doctor Who? This is a weird one. Before I ever watched Doctor Who or Torchwood and that, the only thing I was aware of was I remember as a kid, I saw a TV advert of a gold Dalek, and I think it was CGI. But for some reason, my memory has it as the Golden Emperor Dalek, you know, the big sphere one. I've never seen this footage since. It's probably something my brain invented. Harry asks, when did you get Chester and what is his personality? I think we got Chester around 2012 and his personality is the worst. He never shuts up. He is very annoying, but of course I love him because he is my dog and I have no choice. Dublin Fox asks, what was your first ever Doctor Who experience? For me, it was a Peter Cushing film followed by The Daleks of Manhattan. Before I ever watched Doctor Who, I watched Torchwood, and then I moved into Doctor Who. My first ever Doctor Who was the Cyberman 2-parter from season 2, and I hated it. I was like, Doctor Who sucks. Who could possibly like this show? And as it turns out, I do. I like the show, and I don't stop watching it. Macro99 asks, what inspires you to pick what topic you make your documentaries on, and how do you go about researching it? For my documentaries, they take a lot of time and a lot of mental power to get through. They're not easy to make, and it has to be something I'm really passionate about. So the missing episodes, for example, is something I'm very passionate about. So when I do my research, the first things I do is Doctor Who magazine, any books I can find. I use Shannon Sullivan's website is quite helpful as well. I'll sometimes even watch like making of documentaries and take certain bits from it. It's not easy to make an entire documentary by yourself. So mistakes are bound to happen. I'm a YouTuber, I'm not the BBC. But I do my best to be as factual as I can. And the second part of the question was, have you ever started on an idea for a documentary and had to give up? If so, what was the idea and what did you give up? Literally everything. I have so many half-written documentaries on my hard drive. Like I've got a making of Galaxy 4, which I was basically done. I never finished it. The history of Big Finish, which I never finished because it was so big. And I didn't know how to like condense it and make it more impactful. I didn't want it to become like a reading off every single production they ever made, you know? I feel like that documentary was very much like I needed to interview people. And I'm very hesitant about interviewing people over Zoom and stuff like that because I'm big on audio quality and video quality. I want these to be professional productions. Like if I was living in the UK, the amount of stuff that I would be getting done, the amount of like quality content I'd be making would be crazy. But being stuck here in Adelaide, it's a lot harder. There's no one here. Jack asks, what's your favourite British sci-fi series apart from Doctor Who? The Sarah Jane Adventures. No, but seriously, I don't like science fiction and I hate standard definition videotape. I think it looks cheap. So you can never get me to watch Blake 7 or anything like that. I don't like it. As the part of Doctor Who I don't like is the image quality. If I was to watch a sci-fi show, I'd probably watch something like Star Trek. But yes, science fiction is not my thing. BH asks, why are you obsessed with Nyssa? It's confession time. I'm not really obsessed with Nyssa. It started off as a joke and then it kind of got out of hand. And then it got to a point where my name was synonymous with the picture of Nyssa holding a gun. It's funny because Nyssa's not even my favourite Fifth Doctor companion, Tegan is. But I do love Nyssa. I think she's great. And I think she's really sweet. And I think her and Peter Davison's relationship is great. The Evil Dalek asks, what's your opinion on colorizing 60s Doctor Who? Should they do it as an option for people who find black and white hard to get into? I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. I'm always happy for more versions of my favourite television show. Yeah, I like the black and white versions, and I also love colour. Give me both. I'll take both. I'm not going to say no. You know, just because they're going to make a colour version doesn't get rid of the black and white version. It's not disrespectful. The BBC didn't have budget for colour, and it was kind of a waste of time because colour television wasn't really that big at that time in the UK. You know, a lot of this talking about like, oh, it's not standard to be making this at the time. In the UK are 20 years behind, especially the BBC. You know, in the US, they're filming Star Trek in colour on film, you know, and it looks amazing, whereas Doctor Who looks like shit. Michael Grant asks, what's your number one guilty pleasure Doctor Who story? Mario Bowser replied saying, I'd like to bet £100 that it's a Haunted Nimon. And Dylan Jenkins said, I bet it's the Gunfighters, also one of my faves. Yeah, I would say the Gunfighters. I watched that one a lot. Definitely the Haunted Nimon. It's always fun. It's so quotable. I've seen every episode of Doctor Who so many times that you're just looking for just a bit of fun. Black Phoenix 77 asked, will you be doing any more original stories like that Lost story with the first Doctor and Stephen? If you don't know about this one, I did an audio drama / reconstruction. I think it was called The Destruction of Time. That could be wrong. I don't know what it was. See, I don't even remember what I make. You're asking so much from me to remember these things. But yeah, I started writing a 10th Doctor, 4th Doctor, and 1st Doctor story, which maybe one day will be an animated project in the far, far future. But yeah, it got a bit ambitious and I never got around to doing it. It was going to be like a 2D cartoon animation. So S. Daly, someone said, what got you into filmmaking? And I don't even consider myself a filmmaker. I would say I'm a videographer or maybe a content creator or a general bad bitch. You can refer to me as a general bad bitch if you so wish. But I would definitely say Doctor Who was a big inspiration for me. I did a lot of practicing filmmaking doing my fan film series as a teenager. And as much as I never want them to see the light of day ever again, I did learn a lot of skills doing that. So I think Doctor Who has a big impact on my career. Julian Lewis asks, who are your top 3 companions of the New Who era? P.S. I went to Wookiee Hole this September and saw The Witch. Ookie spooky. Donna Noble's my number 1. I love Donna Noble. I think Catherine Tate's brilliant. I'm going to say River Song is number 2. You may say she's not a companion, but I don't care what you think. It's my list, my rules. I feel like most people just fall in that 3rd option. Like I love Martha, but I feel like she was treated terribly by the Doctor, so it's not the funnest to rewatch her stories because their relationship is really toxic. I also love Bill, so I would say maybe she's in the 3rd. Yeah, 3 is hard to choose. Cats Prime Cuts asks, in your opinion, who is the queerest Doctor? I would say Patrick Troughton's Doctor or Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. And I say this because it's their relationship with their companions. Like the 2nd Doctor and Jamie, their relationship is very queer-coded, mainly played off as a joke, it's for fun. But yeah, I think a lot of queer people, especially on Tumblr back in the day, were very enamored with their relationship, and I think because of that. And I think a lot of people will see Yaz and the Doctor having that connection, especially they're in a mattress together, talking about how much they miss each other. Lesbian alert. I don't even know where to start to say this person's username, so I'm not even going to try. What is the fuggliest Doctor Who monster in your opinion? I think the Absorbaloff is a fugly bitch. Oh my god, who's the fuggliest Doctor Who monster? John Barrowman. Just kidding, haha, funny laugh. The fuggliest Doctor Who monster is Michael Grade. Mark Williams asks, do you think any more missing episodes will be found? Yes. And I think found is the wrong word. We know where they are. Just the private collectors are keeping it to themselves. And you know what? So be it. It's better than them being in an archive where they're rotting away. You know, so these collectors, they're going to keep it in good condition at least. And I think eventually one day we will get them back. Not all of them. I think, you know, Philip Morris had said 6, but I don't really I don't really trust what Philip Morris has to say all the time. But like Paul Venezes has said, I think 3. I think most likely Marco Polo, certain episodes of that are probably out there. I think probably 10th Planet 4 has a good likelihood of being out there. Who knows? You know, I think it's all well and good saying, oh, this many copies were made and this many were shipped out and this was last seen here, that and the other thing. But Doctor Who episodes are wild and mysterious and you never know what you're going to get. You know, the fact that we have 3 episodes of the Dalek's Master Plan is insane. There was 2 copies of the Dalek's Master Plan ever made that we know of. You know, you've got the UK prints and then you've got the Australian copies. But then there could also have been extra copies made for directors or producers, who knows, that just weren't on the record. So anything can happen, except for probably the Feast of Seaman. That's probably not going to happen, but anything can happen, who knows. Only a Spoonful asks, Sea Devils, smash or pass? Smash. Wouldn't even think twice. I would think twice. I would not have sex with a Sea Devil. Or would I? No, I wouldn't. The Golden Dragon ACS says, where do you think more Doctor Who stories should be set? I'm going with East Asia, seeing as we now have a lot more historically accurate accounts of their history and can hopefully provide much more informative and less stereotypical depictions of the culture over there than we did back in the 60s. I kind of just want Doctor Who to expand its horizons when it comes to historical stories. I totally agree. I think Doctor Who should do more stories, especially in Asia. I think Doctor Who has a very bad track record with Asian representation. And I think I would really like to see some more positive depictions. And I think Doctor Who kind of owes that. I want to see different stories. I want to see different perspectives. You know, this is a show that's been going for nearly 60 years. And there's parts of the Earth we've barely even touched upon. I think there's many great stories to be told from history of Earth that aren't just based in the UK and America. You know, not saying those stories are bad because they're not, they're great. And I love that. But yeah, I want to learn about more historical figures that are probably less known about. You know, like even in the latest series of Flux, they talked about Mary Seacole with someone I had no idea of. But that's also possibly because I'm from Australia. Learning things. I want to learn about history. I want to learn about these important figures that have sadly been forgotten to time. And Doctor Who's the perfect program for that. M. Wilson asked, what advice would you give someone trying to build a YouTube channel? Don't. No, I think make stuff you enjoy. Don't make stuff you don't enjoy because you'll begin to hate it very fast. And then what's the point? If you're going to read the comment section, be emotionally prepared for it. Not everyone's going to like what you do, and it's perfectly fine for them to hate you for no reason. Don't get involved with drama. Not because it won't help your channel, because it probably will, but there's no point to it, and it will make you miserable. Just because it's happening online doesn't mean it doesn't feel like it's real. It feels real. So don't get involved with it. I don't start fights with any other YouTubers. I don't do any of that stuff because it's not worth it. Don't do it for fame because you're not going to get it. And if you do, you're probably going to hate it. M. Wilson asked, are there any Doctor Who YouTubers that you watch and would you be open doing a video with them? I usually hate answering this question because I always leave people out. So I'm just going to talk about people I'm currently watching. I'm currently watching a review of Death with Billy and Matt. I think they've got really good production value. They're really nice and I agree with what they have to say, and they're not just people who are going to say, this is great, this is brilliant, I love it. It's they disagree with each other, but a lot of the time I have similar thoughts and feelings to them as well, so it's nice for that. I also watch Ivy, the main protagonist. I think she's great. I think she's very fun and she reminds me of a younger version of myself because I'm so old. No, she reminds me of my early days of fandom, and her excitement is something I wish I still had, but I'm old and decrepit and miserable about everything. I'm also a huge fan of Cunning Monkey. They're doing like optional CGI replacements for classic Doctor Who stories and they're really good, and I've really been enjoying them. So I think they're brilliant. Oh, there's so many. You know, there's just so many, and like as soon as I start editing this, I'm going to think of like 1,000 others, but I'm just going to say those 3 for now. I'm not saying they're my top 3 favorites, so there's people I'm currently thinking about. Alternate 13th asks, eat 50 horse-sized William Hartnells or be eaten by 50 horse-sized William Hartnells? Well, I'm a vegetarian, so I guess he's going to have to eat me. What do you think of Doctor Who Flux? No, I'm actually enjoying Doctor Who Flux. I haven't been enjoying Doctor Who for quite some time, so it's been nice to be actually excited about the show. I think this long-form storytelling is benefiting the new series of Doctor Who. I think the cliffhangers are doing a lot for the show and it's keeping it exciting and fresh. I felt like some of the episodes from season 12 were moving way too fast and I was like, I have no idea what just happened. Like Praxius, no idea what happened in that episode. So this one is from MS on YouTube. Dame Edna as the next Doctor Who with Skippy the Bush Kangaroo's companion. Ratings gold or ratings mold? I'm not a huge fan of Dame Edna. She said a lot of transphobic things in the past. Personally, I'm not a big fan of people appropriating queer culture and then making money off of it only to insult the culture it is taking from. End of the day, Dame Edna's retired now, so I'm not coming out here to cancel Dame Edna or anything like that, but I don't want to support someone who is insulting the community that she's literally profiting off of. I have no problem with straight or cisgender people doing drag, but you need to be respectful of the culture itself. From Joseph Sir from YouTube said, how about campaigning for faithful reenactments of the missing stories? On second thoughts, it might be easier just to build a time machine. I'm not against them recreating missing episodes. I was a big fan of the Mission to the Unknown remake by the University of Central Lancashire. I thought that was a great project. I think one of the reasons that project in particular worked so well was because the Doctor wasn't in it and none of the main cast were in it too. So unless you were overly familiar with those actors who were in the original, you don't have that same connection. So if they were recast, no big deal. Let's say, for example, they got David Bradley to do Marco Polo. I don't mind David Bradley's interpretation of the First Doctor. I think it's sometimes very, very good and sometimes not so good. Like for some lines, it takes him like 20 minutes to get through it. And it's like, William Hartnell is not that slow at speaking. So I think watching these stories as live action reinterpretations of the original would be a bit harder to get used to, these new actors playing these parts that we know and love so well. But I'm not against it. I think it could be really interesting. But personally, I prefer 2D animation over anything else. But I think the future could hold many different types of reconstructions of Doctor Who. And we could be seeing some really exciting stuff in the near future, who knows? From 00758, why is William Hartnell your favourite Doctor? I think it's a really tough question to ask why a certain Doctor is your favourite, because overall I love them all. I love all the Doctors, I think they're amazing. But there's something so sweet and endearing about William Hartnell's portrayal. I really enjoy that he can be a bit tougher at times, but it comes from a place of love. I think he is a lot funnier than people give him credit to. I think William Hartnell is a great comedic actor and he really shines in those moments. I think he can do the serious stuff really good. I think he can do the funny stuff really good. I think every part of his character is so well thought out and well executed. And I don't think people give him enough credit. The show wouldn't be here if it wasn't for William Hartnell. If you were to live with a Voc robot, is it pronounced Voc? I'm not a big fan of that story. Or the Absorbaloff for a year, which one would you pick? Oh, well, if I have the robot, it's basically robot slavery, so I'm against that. But then the Absorbaloff is probably going to eat me. So it's kind of a lose-lose situation on my part. But maybe the robot, because I feel like it wouldn't kill me in my sleep. Oh wait, it kind of does that in the story. Okay, it's a lose-lose scenario no matter what. But at least the robots have a cool Art Deco design, so I can make that work. Thoughts on Ian Levine? This is probably one of the most common ones. I had a lot of people asking, what missing episode would you like to see returned? I think the easiest one to say is the Dalek's Master Plan, because one, you get 12 episodes in one go. Pretty good. You get a big story, and I think it's a good story, and it's got Daleks in it, and there's twists and turns, and it feels like multiple stories all in one. So I think the Dalek's Master Plan is an obvious go-to. But I think if I was to choose an individual episode, just one, not the whole story, I would choose something from like Marco Polo or The Massacre or The Mythmakers, these stories that have no orphan episodes, no surviving episodes. So you get a better glimpse of what the whole story could have looked like by seeing just one bit of it. Whovian Hartnell asked, if you could bring back any scene from a missing episode, what would you bring back? And why would it be Ben's shirtless scene from The Smugglers? Well, obviously that's a given. Of course, we all want to see Ben's shirtless scene because we're all perverts. But no, I would actually probably choose William Hartnell's speech from the end of The Massacre. I want to see if it's a brilliant performance or he just completely had no idea what was going on, because it's a long scene. It's a very long scene. I would like that one. or possibly Patrick Troughton's first regeneration scene. In audio and animation, that scene is hard to watch. I think there's a lot of pauses and silences, and you have absolutely no idea what's going on. But I think if that came back, it could be one of those moments like, was it genius or was it an absolute mess? OMG asked, if you could be in any classic Doctor Who serial, what one would it be? My first thought was the 5 Doctors, so I can meet all the Doctors, but maybe you shouldn't meet your heroes, so I'm probably not going to choose that one. Especially in a working environment, because being on a film set, it's hell. I think I would choose an episode I didn't like because I would not want to watch myself on screen. It's bad enough editing my YouTube videos and having to look at my face. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who has been watching my videos, been subscribing, liking, commenting, and all that type of stuff. I really appreciate it. It's been nice being able to like say stuff and people listen to you rather than just like shouting out into the void. It took me a really long time to like figure out what I'm doing here. And I'm still kind of figuring it out. And hopefully there's a lot more stuff to come out. I have nothing in the pipeline at the moment, but who knows? But yeah, don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official JohnSno's YouTube channel. Or don't. I'm not your fucking dad. I'm not your mum. I'm not your parent. I'm just me, JohnSno's YouTuber, and Nyssa stan. Bye.